Welcome to History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson Cable, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts.
And we are live. We are live. What is going on, everybody? This is Colonel Carson with Family Tree Nuts with my good friend
Jameson Cable, Kentucky History Podcast.
Absolutely, man. We got a cool show tonight. I'm excited about this one. There's been a lot of people excited about watching this one tonight, isn't there?
I believe so. It's a good topic, a good forgotten story, and we've kind of talked about it quite a bit already, so we should have some good comments. So if you got comments, let us know. We're going to have some questions probably as well, so maybe you can answer some of our questions.
Yeah, like I said, that's the best part of the show. You can join in. You can ask questions live. So make sure you ask us some questions. Give us some input about what you think too. Let us know where you're watching from and things, and we'll bring that on there. But I'm really excited about this one. We have talked about this one a couple of times, but not this exact situation about Fort Logan. We've talked about Fort Logan in relation to other topics and things, but this one's specifically about Fort Logan.
Mm-hmm.
This is your neck of the woods.
It is. I mean, literally 10 miles away. I've been there quite a few times. Take the kids there, sometimes. I really wish this could become a state park. I mean, it is. You can go to like the historical marker. There is if you go to like the Kentucky website, the park's website, you can find this park on there as well. But it's not like. It's not a place you can really go and visit and interact like Fort Herod and Fort Boonesboro. It's not as much going on yet. Yeah. And that's one thing, of course, I want to bring light to is the foundation that's trying to get it up and fixed. They're building bits of the fort as they go. They got, I would say, half of it complete, but plenty more work to be done. So.
Looks like Chris says, "Hey, gents, Ancestor Stalker says, woohoo, more early settlers." That's what we like to talk about. Vanessa Byer says, "Hello from California." Vicky says, "Hello from Tennessee." Patricia Flynn, "Hello from Memphis, Tennessee." Mm-hmm. And Logan Gibson says, "Hello from Lancaster, Kentucky." That's pretty close.
Hey, real close.
And now, Josh Clayton says, "Hi from Mizzou, Missouri."
All across the country here.
Yeah, man, all over the place. The thing about this, and like I said, we've talked about this a couple of times before about Fort Logan, but it still mind boggles me the more people that I talk to about history, that even people that know about history of the West and our area, they don't know about Fort Logan. And man, this place was an important happening spot in the early founding of not just Kentucky, but the West. And it's definitely a place that has some stories that I can't wait to tell people about tonight.
Yeah, some real good ones. But before anything, I'm going to ask a question to people listening and to you as well, Russ. And I did not tell Russ I was asking him this, but we were recording a podcast earlier. Where did Daniel Boone first enter Kentucky? Or what spot was he first at Kentucky? Now, don't answer it. If you know the answer or you think you know the answer, pop it in there on the comments. And at the end, I'll ask it again, Russ, and see you can get your answer. All right.
Still, that's a little, there's a little twist. There's a little trick to that, isn't there?
There's. I'm seeing.
I
I'm
know
just
the
seeing.
answer.
Yeah, I'm just seeing how many people are going to go for the most likely answer. But
There's a couple places people might guess.
there is. Yeah.
There's a couple places people might guess, but you got to kind of know the story of Boone to know the answer, right?
I believe so. So we're talking about Fort Logan. We're talking about Benjamin Logan here, not Daniel Boone. So we got the comment there. Was Perry County and Wayne County, Tennessee, part of the Appalachia Mountains? Was Perry County and Wayne County, Tennessee, part of the Appalachian Mountains? Yes. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know where that's at, and I don't know where Wayne County, Tennessee is. I know where Perry and
Perry
Wayne
County, Perry County, Kentucky. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Wayne County, Tennessee.
I have to look that one up. I promise that if that doesn't get answered before it just gets off, I'll look that up. But I would, I guess it just depends on where it is geographically. So to we said Luke says hello from Camarillo, California. We've had some California folks watching tonight for sure, and that's why this stuff is so important. We're in a hotbed of history and genealogy here because so many people trace their roots to those that came through the gap right there. So, I was thinking about something today, and I'll shut up after this, I promise.
We'll get to the story.
We know that between 1775 and 1805, approximately 300,000 people poured through the Cumberland Gap into Kentucky and settled. Many of them only settled for a generation or so before going on further west. Now, we say 300,000. This is what I was thinking about. Well, I know that in about the time of the Revolution, the population of the United States was only 2.5 million people. The population of Virginia alone was 500,000 right there during the Revolution. So think about that, 300,000 people. That would have been, about 15% of the United States population poured through there kind of thing. So if you put that in today's numbers right there, I mean, that would be what, 45, 50 million people, if you put that in relative speak. So this is a hotbed of genealogy and expansion of the United States. So let's get to Logan's Fort Logan.
Logan, yeah. Yeah, but real quick, thank you. Vicky says, I'm glad you guys are doing this. This is helpful. Hey, well, we love doing it, so it's great. It's a win-win. It's a winner. So Benjamin Logan, he heads over, born in Virginia, Augusta County, and married Anne Montgomery, who her sister married William Casey, which is who Casey County is named after, correct?
Yes.
Casey County, Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that here in a second, actually. But
there's a connection. Yeah. You bring those things up. There's always a plug for mentioning.
Benjamin Logan, born 1742 in Virginia. That's right. Yeah. Married to Montgomery, and his brother-in-law is William Casey.
Yeah.
William Casey's great grandson is Mark Twain, by the way. So another side story. Yeah. All kinds of connections. Yeah, you're talking to a genealogist, man. I eat and breathe this stuff, kind of thing. So.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
All right. So anyway, Fincastle County, Virginia is basically what Kentucky is in about 1772.
I got something for you, man. Fincastle County. Yeah. That is the original name that Virginia gave the area of Kentucky, right?
Yep.
What the heck is Fincastle?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I know I've read this before somewhere.
Now, the state of Kentucky could be called the state of Fincastle.
Yeah. So where did it come from? Where did Fincastle come from?
The governor of Virginia was Lord Dunmore, who was a Murray, and he had a heraldic title. He was the Earl of Dunmore. He was also the Viscount of Fincastle.
Oh.
So they named the new county, which was ginormous, not just what is Kentucky today, but also I think Lee and and Montgomery County, Virginia. They named it Fincastle. Fincastle. So when we had the Revolution, the settlers and the Virginians and the new and fresh Americans didn't want to have their state named after a heraldic title, some lord, some earl of Dunmore. They wanted it to be named something else, so they dropped the Fincastle and added into Kentucky the old Native American name for it. Now imagine this, all right? You've been to a Kentucky football game, haven't you? UK?
Yes. Oh yeah, go Big Blue.
Good for another first down. Fincastle. Can you imagine that, right?
Yeah. Fincastle Wildcats. Fincastle Wildcats.
All right, I'll shut up about that. I'll stop interrupting you. We'll talk about Benjamin.
All right. So, that all fits in. So, and think of this. So, Lincoln County was formed in 1780, which was what was formed out of Fayette, Jefferson, and Lincoln were all formed out of Kentucky County, and that kind of gives us the time period. About 1772, 1780. That's kind of when all this kind of takes place. Anyway, Boone, he arrives in 75, right? Or is that Harrod? Harrod is 75. No, Harrod is
74. Harrod 74.
Harrod 74. Then Boone 75. Right.
March, April 75.
Mm-hmm. As far as when I say arrive, I mean as in they're in their settlements, building forts, all that good stuff.
April 75.
Mm-hmm.
May of 75.
Yeah, that's when old Benjamin Logan and John Floyd roll in here and begin to set up camp, I guess if you want to call it that. But they find a settlement, and they originally named it St. Asaph because Floyd was a Welshman, and his favorite saint was St. Asaph. And
what?
St. Asaph or
what?
Asaph? Is it Asaph or ASAP?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know much about that saint at all.
It's kind of like St. Patrick of Ireland, St. Andrew of Scotland. St. Asaph is the patron saint of Wales. And they arrived in the area that they built their cabin as on St. Asaph Day.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So they established the St. Asaph, and Logan builds a cabin, plants his corn, and he returns to Virginia, which is.
Wait a second. Why did he do that?
Well, planting his corn.
He cabin and planted corn, and he left. Yeah. What did he do that for?
Under the Virginia laws, you had to plant corn to establish, I guess, your settlement, or establish that you were, had your intent to settle there. Or that was the rules. You had to plant corn to get your land.
Yeah, practical crop. We know that 25 years later, or no, before, 25 years prior in 1750, Dr. Thomas Walker did the same thing outside of modern-day Barberville, Kentucky down there. The fellow that named all the different things in the area. So this was a common thing to do.
Yeah.
75, he builds a cabin, builds a crop of corn, heads out.
Yeah. You leave, just like anything else. You build your house and then you just leave for you.
Well, I think it's interesting too. There's another side story to this, because as a genealogist, I'm always trying to read in between the lines. He left. He went back.
Yep.
He must have had a pretty wife, man. Because Boone left for years at a time, man. Go back. But,
don't be slandering Rebecca.
Hey.
Well, we got a question here. Ancestor Stalker here says he needs a map. What area is Logan's Fort in? Okay, great. So you got Boonesboro in Madison County, right above north of Richmond. You've got Harrodsburg. You got Harrod's Fort in Mercer County. And then if you think about Stanford, it's kind of right in the middle there. Stanford is where Fort Logan would be at. Now, if you're actually talking about, specifically in Stanford, where we're talking about, it's actually off Martin Luther King Road, and it's a little bit west of the Stanford Elementary and east of Buffalo Springs Cemetery, I believe is what the cemetery is called.
I think he was just asking you what town, man. Stanford, Kentucky.
Stanford.
You're giving him GPS coordinates down
yeah. Well, like
Yeah.
I said, been there a few times. So.
Still a bluegrass region just south of Danville.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. That's definitely a hotbed of settlement. This is technically the third settlement of Kentucky, kind of thing. So, and it's a place that most people don't even know exists.
Yep. So anyway, let's see, where were we at? They build his cabin, goes back, to Virginia after he plants his corn. And the following year, 76, he returns with his wife, Jane, his son David, and their slave Molly, and her 3 sons, Matt, Dave, and Isaac.
Isn't it cool we know their names?
Do what?
Isn't that cool we know their names?
Yeah, that is really cool because that's not the typical thing. It's really cool to actually know their names, and most time that's the needle in the haystack, finding out the names of slaves. Definitely back then, you were talking, 1776. So he starts his fort and he finishes it in 1777, which is known as the Bloody Sevens.
Yeah,
so,
Bloody Sevens. But they didn't start out with a fort. They just had their cabin on the frontier. Because all right, I'm going to settle something right here. I'm going to bring up something that's. I'm definitely not going to settle this. Nonstop, when I do a story or a video about something, they shouldn't have been there anyway. It wasn't their land. They were just those people were just defending their land. Kentucky wasn't the Native Americans' land. It was hunting grounds of multiple different tribes. This land was actually purchased, and was supposed to be open for settlement due to some agreements. Now, I am definitely not saying that the Native Americans were not mistreated. I am definitely not saying that. What I'm saying is that there were treaties and there were documents saying that folks could come and settle back here. After the French and Indian War, they weren't allowed to. The British were not allowed to settle into this area. After that, when it happened, we don't have all night. We could talk about 1773 and 1774 and Lord Dunmore's War, and all the different types of things that were going out on the frontier. There was a big argument as to whose daggone land this was and who can't settle it. It's not like there was Native American villages all around and they threw these people out. This is an area where there was not any settlement at the time. So it was very questionable as to who could settle it. So, all right.
Yeah. And another thing, no, I do.
You get roasted on a steak for that one, buddy.
I've wondered too, and this was brought up to me, like a question was asked to me a while back. I can't remember when, but do you think at some point that Native Americans did live here in Kentucky, but then they came to a truce and said, "Hey, let's back off and this be the." I think at some point they did have to live here.
They definitely did. There was villages. Skippagathicky was settled.
Yeah.
It was abandoned in the 1760s. So there were villages. It was just such a highly contested and disputed territory by different tribes.
Yeah. Then that's where it became such just the hunting, the common hunting ground there.
The gray area, the gray zone.
Yeah, gray area. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get back.
Getting off topic again, aren't we?
Yeah. So anyway, 1777, the Bloody Sevens, lots of Native American attacks. Logan actually sends his family to Fort Herod because things get so rough, I guess, so violent or so risky would probably be the best way to say it.
Yeah, and Fort Herod, what is let's see, what is that, about 30 miles probably? Or so. It's about 10 or 15 minutes to Danville, 10 or 15 minutes to Fort Herod. About 30 at today's driving, it might be a little bit closer. So, a day's walk to a more secure area, Fort Herod, because there's lots of people attacking. Remember, 1776 was the capture of Jemima Boone and the two Callaway girls. There was quite a bit of activity with Shawnee and Cherokee, Mingo, Delawares, all over the area. So these people lived in constant fear of that.
Yeah.
He sends his wife and kids up to Fort Herod and says, "Hey boys, we're going to have to go to Fort here."
Things are looking a little rough. But real quick, some specs on the fort. Fort Logan is about 90 by 150 feet. which I looked all over. Maybe somebody out there can like send the specs of like Boonesboro or Fort Herod, but Fort Logan was small, way smaller than the other ones.
Well, it's smaller than a half a football field.
Yeah.
150 feet is 50 yards.
Yep.
And 90 is 30 yards. So the football field is about 52 and a half feet wide, and smaller than half of a football field was the entirety of the fort. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good analogy, man. I got a good picture of that in my head now. I always revert back to the gridiron. I spent a lot of time on that. But yeah. So in 1776, Benjamin Logan was actually made the sheriff of Kentucky, all of Kentucky, the justice of the peace of all of Kentucky, and he was second in command of the Kentucky militia. I bring that up. Pretty important fella. Yeah. And his settlement was a pretty important spot. Yeah. And it's a place that hardly anybody knows about. Yeah. Remembers. Unless you're people like us or the people that are watching here tonight. So yeah, he is very much like, I mean, everybody knows Daniel Boone. Everybody knows Daniel Boone. That's a simple, easy one. And when you start debating with some people, they probably know James Herod. But nobody knows of Benjamin Logan. And he was, with the top three, if you want to say that, he was right there with everybody, hashing all this out. Definitely had an influence in either Kentucky being Transylvania or Kentucky staying with Virginia as well. So anyway, very important guy. So the siege happens. The siege we're talking about, or you got something else? Well, before we go too much further, we probably should have our commercial break here because we're getting through that. But Ancestor Stalker said, barely caught what you said about the Callaway Girls. Sounds pretty interesting. Can you cover this sometime? Yeah, absolutely. And check it out. If you want to go to this YouTube page called Family Tree Nuts, and if you click on Daniel Boone, we talk about the Callaway Girls a couple of times. If you'd like, I can send you the link. I think it's on video number 2 of the Daniel Boone Heritage Trail video series. Daniel Boone himself tells the story. And we also have another video at the graveside of Jemima Boone. Jemima is the one that was captured. You can check that out on there. So, by the way, if you like what we're doing, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels, Family Tree Nuts and Kentucky History Podcast. We're putting out videos about every, between the two of us, almost every day, stuff's coming out on there. So make sure you check that out. But before we go too much further about the fort, we've established what it is. We're going to tell you a really exciting story about what happened. Well, multiple stories. About how this place becomes a major part of importance to Kentucky history and frontier history. But before we do, we're going to take off, show you a real quick commercial. Now, this fella is the brother-in-law of Benjamin Logan that we're talking about here. See you on the other side.
Yes, that is a lumber yard right there behind me. We're sitting right in front of a tree line. There's a little picnic table here. So get a peek of where we're at so you can come and find this place. Hey everybody, this is Russ from Family Tree Nuts, and I am in Adair County, just outside of Columbia, Kentucky, and we're going to a graveside of a pretty famous, well-known Kentuckian that has things named for him and everything, but here we are in the middle of the woods. You see the woods is right behind a bunch of houses and a lumber mill, and you see the dog pen there. I'm told that's the dog's name is Rex. So if you come to visit, make sure you say hi to Rex. Maybe bring him a treat. But you see the gravesite right behind me there. That is the gravesite of Colonel William Casey. Who's Colonel William Casey? Well, Colonel William Casey was born in 1754 in Frederick County, Virginia. He was served in the Revolutionary War as an ensign, and he came to Kentucky in 1779. Colonel Casey settled around Fort Logan, which is in modern-day Stanford, and one of the first settlements in Kentucky. And he married in 1782. He married a Jane Montgomery. Her sister was actually married to Colonel Benjamin Logan, one of the leaders there at Fort Logan and there in Stanford. So he was a brother-in-law with Colonel Logan. Around 1790, he led a group of men to settle in the Greene County, Kentucky area. It's in central Kentucky. At the time, it was about 42 miles to the nearest white settlement in the wilderness. And they built a blockhouse which became Casey Station, and he owned this land all the way around here. He became quite a great public servant, and he led to establish a couple of academies here, one in Casey County, which is named after him, by the way, which is the next county over, and also in Adair County here, where we're at here near Columbia. He served as a trustee of Columbia, and he was actually elected to the Kentucky House of Representatives. So he was a very big-time leader in the area. He was commissioned a lieutenant colonel of the Kentucky militia, and he's buried right here behind me. You see that he died in 1816, and the story is that he's buried in his rocking chair. That's pretty cool. I've never known anybody to be buried in a rocking chair there. Possibly one of the things that he's most famous for is he's got a famous great-grandson, a man by the name of Mark Twain. You ever heard of him? Mark Twain, we know, has Kentucky roots. His mother, Jane Lambton. Lambton Road is actually right across of Kentucky 80 there. Jane Lambton is the granddaughter of Colonel William Casey, which making Mark Twain the great-grandson of Colonel Casey. Pretty neat fella here in Adair County, Kentucky. It's a shame that the cemetery has fallen in disarray here. I've been told that the community and the county has tried to do something, but the cemetery is landlocked. But wanted to take you to this neat little spot here of a famous American, one of the first Kentuckians, and a great-grandfather of a tremendously famous American, Colonel William Casey. And hey, remember, family tree nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
So, what do you think about that, man?
You're gone, man. It's great, but you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You got me?
Okay. I can't see you, man. I just see a square.
I see
yeah,
you and I can hear you. So we'll just keep on. But you see that Colonel Casey, he's buried in his rocking chair, and he was one of the first settlers right here in Fort Logan.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool connection. I didn't know. I mean, even the Mark Twain thing really kind of blew me away. But that's pretty interesting.
That's the sad thing too, because that graveyard or the cemetery is, as you can see, is overgrown. There's houses right there and things.
Yeah.
This was a pretty important person and prominent to the original settlement of Kentucky right there. And he's buried out in the woods behind somebody's house.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know me and you probably, and definitely the listeners probably have a tender heart towards the grave sites, historical sites, those kind of things. It's kind of disappointing, but
really neat find. And Casey County, Kentucky. I was there yesterday, actually.
Well, yeah, and you talk about the Callaway Girls. Their father, Callaway County, is named after Richard Callaway as well. So
right. Absolutely.
Logan County is named after Benjamin Logan. I mean, we go on and on, but
yeah, that's where all these are coming from. So if you're looking at a map, we're talking about all kinds of people that fill out the map there.
Real quickly, though, you know what, though? There is not a Harrod County, which is very kind of interesting that there's not a Harrod County.
No one, James Harrod?
Yeah.
I don't think he cared.
Huh?
I don't think he cares, man.
No, I don't think he cares either. No, I don't.
There's a lot of stories about what happened to him, and I think he said, man, I just want to live in the woods, man, kind of thing. So remember he remarried late in life, and he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So,
we got a comment here from old Irish Reb. I had Ken at Fort Logan, and it says Jocelyn. I assume that's who he's referring to that was there. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because they may have been involved in the things that we're getting ready to talk about now.
Yeah. So you ready to go? You want to lead the way on this one?
I mean, lots of stuff happened there. Of course, there in May 30th of 1777 was one of the major. Okay. There was multiple attacks on Fort Logan, as is.
Of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Some of them are little, some of them are big. One of them, this one we're getting ready to talk about, in 1777, was a force of 57 of Native Americans attacking the fort there. And there was other attacks too. So we're going to talk about two different attacks here a little bit. What was the first one there? I think May 30th, 1777, the year of 3 sevens, year of bloody seven.
There you go, the dark and bloody ground. So yeah, big attack. And they had actually, they'd seen scouts. Their scouts had seen that there was a presence of Native Americans around. So they kind of expected to hunker down and kind of get their resources in. Benjamin Logan actually sends out the women to get the old pumpkins and bring all them in, which me being a modern person thinking, what in the world are you going to do with old pumpkins? But what they do with them, I
was looking forward to Halloween, I guess.
Let's do some carving.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's one thing they do. They bring those in. Also, before we need to say this too, so there was a spring real close to the fort.
50 yards.
Yes, and they dug a tunnel to the spring. I get, obviously, so they could have access to it. And that was one way that they were able to, withstand a siege for a long period of time without being out in the open and so forth. But anyway, Anne Logan, Miss Whitley, some of the slaves, I assume, ventured out, got milk from the cows. They were all guarded at this time.
While the Native Americans are surrounding the fort. Surrounding the fort, they're like, we're gonna have to milk these cows, man.
Yeah. So, we gotta make sure our cows are lean and ready to move. So we gotta go milk them. But anyway, so they go out to get the milk, and they're guarded by a few of the men: James Craig, John Kennedy, not JFK, Burr, Harrison,
not John F. Kennedy,
William Hudson. That's just some of the names, and they were fired upon by their foes, who the natives who were kind of in the woods. They couldn't even be seen. A few of them were shot. One of them got shot in the head. Obviously died instantly. And then I think Kennedy was shot as well.
4 times?
4 times. Yeah, 4 times. And then they reached the fort, as did Craig and the women who actually were uninjured. So very intense scene. Reminds me a lot of the time that Simon Kent saved Boone. One of those incidents, like it was happening as it was going. They were rushing to get the milk, and I don't know. I just don't know how they're all about their milk.
They thought 2 guys were down. I'm at a miss here. I think his name was Hamilton. Maybe that. Hudson was one guy died right off the bat.
Hudson was shot in the head. He died right off, and then Kennedy was shot.
What was the second gentleman's name? That was
Kennedy.
Was it Kennedy that they thought was down?
Yeah, he got shot 4 times. Oh, they thought was down. No, Harrison was the one that got shot.
Harrison was. They thought he was dead too. As night fell, they're shouting out, "Hey, guys, I'm laid out here. I'm not dead. So
please help me."
Right. So the next morning, Benjamin Logan himself does something incredibly daring, in order to save his buddy. Now, this is an example of leadership and a half right here. Being in the Marine Corps, this is an example of leadership. What does Benjamin Logan do?
Well, I mean, he goes out there, he ventures out there and gets him and brings him in.
Yeah, but he holds a bushel of cotton, as a shield because he knows he's going to be shot at, and sprints out there to his buddy and carries him into safety. Man, that's a daggone hero right there.
That is, man. I mean, what are you gonna do? What's a bushel of cotton gonna do? I guess it was thick, right? It's thick.
Yeah, pretty thick. Yeah, absolutely. But that was pretty daring. And I'm sure some other guys have said, "Hey, you're the boss. We can't let us send one of these other guys." But Benjamin Logan's having nothing at it.
Leadership, man. That's leadership.
Absolutely. Today he would have won the Medal of Honor, for something.
Yeah. Let's see. Alex McNamee, I think, is the last one. He says Kentucky forts. Some of these areas are now private land and safely forgotten, or just remembered by a historical marker without any parking a couple hundred yards from the actual location. And that's very true. The actual Fort Logan, the actual site where Fort Logan is owned by private land, and it is being built on land that is it's not in its actual location. It's adjacent
to it, I think.
Yeah, it's about 50 yards from where it actually was, because the actual location is on private land, and they didn't. They didn't want them to build it there, so which stinks. Yeah, but at least they're building it, I guess. So
yeah, definitely. And then there's another story of a siege, and it involves the ladies going to milk the cows.
yeah. So this is quite. It's baffling, but
on good milk cows, man.
They did. That's what it was, man. They saw that they were getting surrounded, so they send out a group of women and maybe one man to protect them, to go and get the cows and milk the cows, and in the middle of this siege, and they all get slaughtered. The Native Americans come, they kill all the cows, they kill all the women,
and they scalp
the men. They scalp them, except one. They didn't scalp one.
They didn't scalp one. Why didn't they scalp that one?
Because cow fell on her, and they didn't. They kind of was like, well, we won't scalp that one. We'll just take that one as a loss. And
they shot the cow. The cow fell over and killed them, kind of thing. What a horrible way. It's not funny at all, but it's definitely a unique story, isn't it?
Yep. So yeah, definitely. I guess the milk was just that good, man. They just had to have it.
It must be. That's two stories about how they had to get out there and milk those cows when they're in a siege. And there were other attacks as well, so nothing as major as those two. But actually, in 1778, the next year, because Benjamin Logan was the justice of the peace, they bring a very famous person for his trial. Fort Logan.
Yeah, which everybody, you got to remember, 1777, 78, 79, the Revolutionary War is going on. And, a lot's going on in the East, and that's kind of the stuff that always gets the most headlines and all that, and rightfully so. That's where the capital was and all those sorts of things. However, there was a Western front to the Revolutionary War too, and it was being battled in Kentucky and all around. But Henry Hamilton.
No, not him yet.
Not him yet.
Somebody more famous than
Boone. That's right, Boone. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I jumped the gun a little too much there, but I got thinking about the Revolutionary War. Yeah, they brought Boone there and tried Boone.
Daniel Boone.
Why would they do that?
Well, that he was captured with the salt makers up there, and was adopted by Chief Blackfish. They named him Big Turtle, and he lived with the Shawnee for a while. And a lot of people that dislike Boone think that Boone was a traitor, and the guys did think that during that time. When he heard word that they were going to attack Fort Boonesboro. He knew his wife and kids were still there, and he's lived with these Shawnee for 8-9 months, and he runs about 120 miles in about 4 days. I'm sure you could do that tomorrow from somewhere around Chillicothe down to Boonesboro. Approximately 120 miles, swims the Ohio River, I'm sure he used a log, to get through there, but runs back and warns the fort, hey, they're getting ready to attack, get ready. So after the siege was over and they defended the fort, a lot of people thought that Boone was a traitor. They thought that he had sided with the Native Americans and kind of helped them out. So they brought him to Fort Logan for his trial for treason.
And which he was not found guilty. But anyway, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, 1779. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
You're too early. You're too late. So, like the American Revolution was going on, George Rogers Clark was out battling, and he actually was able to capture the British Colonel Henry Hamilton, and
the hair
buyer. Because
you know why he was called the hair buyer?
He bought scalps, right?
Yeah, white scalps. White scalps. He, it was an encouragement. He basically put a bounty out on white settlers in the area, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And said, you bring me their scalps, and I'll pay you money. And it encourages, just like any other kind of bounty that's out there. This is an absolute hated and detested person. We say his name and in passing and stuff, Henry the hair buyer Hamilton, but what a
not liked. Yeah.
But he was the commander there, and he was captured there at Fort Sackville, which is Vincennes, where the monument for General George Rogers Clark is, the conqueror of the Old Northwest. We've done a few videos on location there, and they capture Henry Hamilton, and they take him back to trial all the way to Williamsburg, Virginia.
But they had to make a few stops on the way.
Yeah, they did.
One of the places he stopped, Fort Logan and good old Stanford. So, and he actually, he kept a journal, I believe, and he actually was very complimentary of the fort at Fort Logan and said it wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, right. He did. Yeah, he said it was a nice place, and I mean, this is a major prisoner of war.
Oh yeah.
And they brought him to Fort Logan for a bit to resupply. Now, that is a classic example of why this place is such an important place on the frontier, kind of thing, and it's a place that's forgotten by so many.
Yep. Yeah, and it's super interesting, super neat. I mean, it's so forgotten too, man. It's kind of it kind of stinks that it doesn't get as much recognition. But
that's why we're doing so much work to try to know about it for sure. Huh?
Yeah, and you can. I will say there is a Facebook page, Fort Logan Foundation. You can check it out pretty easily, and so forth. What religions were prominent? Well, Christians, I'm sure, but what denomination? Quaker, Mormon, Presbyterian, I believe, would be what.
Presbyterian. And the reason for that is that most of the people were Scots-Irish immigrants,
and that's what one of the first, maybe the first Presbyterian church was actually founded in Stanford in that area because Benjamin Logan was very religious as far as he was a very he founded, or he was part of the founding of that first church, and there's a marker in Stanford for it. I have a picture, but that's another story, another day. But it's really old, one of the oldest churches in Kentucky.
It's interesting too. Baptist was up and coming during that time. Which is incredibly prominent today, but just a little bit west of there was very, very prominent Catholic settlement there. So Kathy Sparks said, yeah, definitely.
Well, that would have been, and probably more Catholics in Fort Herod, I would say.
Yeah,
than Logan's and Boone's.
I know those people ended up settling a little further west in Nelson County and Marion County.
Jane Coombs and her group. When they came through to Harrodsburg, they were all Catholics, and
Jane Coombs is known as
first teacher of Kentucky.
The first teacher of Kentucky.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that we can. Anyway,
man, we're getting way off on the side there.
Way off. Yeah.
We have so much stuff jammed in our brains here. It's hard to stay on topic of what we're talking about. So,
and I don't think there's any Mormons, because when did Mormons? Anyway, nothing.
Much later. Mormons.
Much later, yeah. I don't think it was even started until
30s, 40s. Yeah, before we went to Utah and all that. But one thing we forgot to mention. Okay, well, it's called St. Asaph. It was called Logan Station, but it eventually was called Stanford. Remember these sieges These sieges were unsuccessful. This place withstood everything that the attackers could give it. So the Native Americans nicknamed it
Stanford, the Standing Fort.
Standing Fort.
Yes.
What a cool thing. How many people do you think in Stanford, Kentucky know that their town is named after the Standing Fort? What a cool name that is, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Now, my students, they know, but besides that, I don't know.
Yeah, what a cool name. Standing Fort kind of thing. I thought that was great. So 1779, they another year, we're moving down the road. We're going 1 year at a time here every 10 minutes or so, but we're almost to the end, actually. But in 1779, they opened up a land office right there in Stanford. Yeah, Teresa says that's interesting. She's actually a descendant of Coombs, the first teacher.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's a Catholic that's from that area we were just talking about. We worked on some of her family stuff not too long ago. Okay, yeah. They built a land office, and Logan gets
granted 400 acres.
Nice.
So massive amount of land. He gets a little land happy there.
His original corn crop that he had there.
And so the county, Lincoln County, kind of grows. The court was originally held in Fort Herod, but then Logan donated land for the court.
When we're talking about the court of Kentucky in general, the whole daggone thing, of everybody, the settlement that people are pouring into, thousands of people are pouring into Kentucky during this time.
Yes, and so he donates the land for the court, and but he has to provide 3 necessities.
There's 3 necessities in order to have the courthouse of the county in it, and 3 necessities. Would that be, I guess, some good flat land, maybe some people guarded or something like that, right?
Well, no. A jail, one.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta have a jail.
Pretty obvious. Let's see. What was the second one? I know the third one, but I can't think of the second one. Booze? Right, a tavern, right?
You had to have a tavern.
You have to have a tavern, or you have to have a jail, and you have to have a tavern to be able to take the drunks to the jail.
Interesting.
Then, yeah. Now I can't remember the third one. So he did chime in tavern. Is it a church? No, not a church though. What was the
courthouse?
Courthouse. Well, yeah, the courthouse. Yeah. There we go.
So you had to have, you had to have the ability to build a courthouse there. So, but I thought it's very interesting, that you had to have jail and a tavern, in order to have court. So I'm willing to say that all 3 of those things were very
intertwined.
Yes, intertwined for sure, kind of thing. So even to this day, taverns served as meeting houses. Reagan says that's true. That's why they call it a pub. Did you know that it's a public house?
I didn't know. A pub. It's public house. Wow.
The gentlemen, congregate to talk about the areas. That's where the word pub comes from.
So Mark says it's been said that London was wallpapered with scalps. Oh, man, it's rough. That sounds rough. Anyway, so the courthouse was eventually moved in 1786 out of the fort into the town of Stanford. And we talked about Stanford in the name. So there's that.
And then it eventually goes to in 1792 to Danville. Which is where they wrote the Kentucky Constitution, where Kentucky becomes a
state.
Logan was a big leader of that. So, we've moved up to 1786. But one thing we didn't say about Benjamin Logan, he didn't stay at the house, kind of thing while this was going on. George Rogers Clark led a team of militia into north of the Ohio River, into the Ohio country against the Shawnee. The Shawnee and Cherokee were coming up and attacking the settlements out there on the frontier. They rallied a bunch of militiamen, and that's a totally different story. But they led a couple of different expeditions into the Ohio country, and also another expedition was done into Tennessee. Basically, bring the battle to the people that are bringing the battle to them.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to defend one thing or the other. I'm just saying what the heck happened there. And so Benjamin Logan was very, he led from the front all the time. Kind of thing. And then he becomes a politician after that.
Yeah. So he was really close. He was really close to being the governor of Kentucky, but he was unsuccessful. James or Isaac Shelby was in 92, and then James Garrett was in 98, which is 1792, and then 1796. Sorry, that's when they were elected. And then again in 1800, James Garrett was again the governor. But Benjamin Logan was a candidate and was in some cases I think he was second. I think it was only him and Garrett that ran against each other. I don't think there was anybody else, but he did not win that election. And then,
if he had won, this might be somebody that we know more about.
Yeah.
Because this is a man that arguably is as important as Boone.
Yeah.
Kenton, Herod. I mean, this is a man that, very important to the founding.
And the way I think about it as well is too, Boone didn't stay around and get involved in the government of Kentucky or governing Kentucky. Herod was the other person. He died too. But Benjamin Logan was here. He stayed here. He was involved, and yet nobody knows. I mean, if he would have been governor, obviously that would have changed the tune a little bit. But those things didn't happen. He ends up moving to Shelbyville, and in 1802 he dies.
Yeah, which is in between Frankfort and Louisville kind of thing. So it's funny how people they move around. They sell their land, move to where. Yeah, Alex says I'm looking forward to those GRC videos. He's talking about the GRC expeditions up into Ohio. We're hoping to do those late summer kind of thing. So that's definitely and tell some of them stories from the other side of the angle there. But yeah, Teresa says she came in late, but she'll check it out later. Enjoying that research. I look down and then there's the comment jumps up there. But Teresa, definitely some good stuff there. Look at all these stories there. I mean, there's the stories of the sieges, the stories of the founding, the stories of moving to Courthouse, Boone's trial, William the hair buyer Hamilton brought there. This is an important place. Yeah,
and there's not much known about it.
We know Boonesboro, we know Harrodsburg, but we don't know Logan. And I don't know anybody that's involved with the Logan, Fort Logan's
reconstruction
But we're trying to do a lot of stuff to let people know about this place that exists because it really is an important spot.
Yeah, it is. And again, they have a Facebook page. They actually do reenactments too, yearly reenactments at on site there. So stuff. I mean, stuff to check out if it's something you're interested in for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Do you got anything? There was a question that popped up a while back I wanted to get to, not about Fort Logan or anything. Let's see. I thought Boone served a term in the Virginia legislature. I think he did, didn't he?
I think he served a couple. From different places. I think Boone Station, one up around in Mason County. But Boone was in the Virginia legislature as well.
But anyway, so the question was from 1770 to 1780, how many forts were in Kentucky? Which is a good question. Now, if we're talking about main forts, you're looking at Logan, Boone, or Boonesboro, and Herod would have been the main ones. But now, if we're talking about stations, then we're going to get into a bigger discussion. So
about 30 or so. Some people, arguably 50 or so. And this is 1775 to 1795-ish. I've seen multiple maps. You're talking Bryan Station, you got McClellan Station,
McConnell Station. Then you got up in Louisville too. Louisville's they got 4 or 5 stations that are popping up, and
Martin Station.
Yeah,
there's stations all over the place, and we've done a video at Baker Station, which is in modern day Clark County, with Allison Whaley, who's a history teacher in Montgomery County, high school there, but a little unknown place, Baker Station out there. The owners of that one abandoned the station and moved back to Virginia and never settled it again. And so, Strode Station became Winchester. I could go on and on.
Yeah, it's a big question.
Different stations. Ruddle Station. We did a video. One of our most popular videos is that the massacre at Ruddle Station.
Well, I mean, there was Whitley Station too, but for like William Whitley there. There was Langford Station in Mount Vernon. I mean, this is all the things. But so I guess are we wrapping it up here? Because I got to ask my final question.
Mark says the ones from Pennsylvania, Boone brought likely Lutheran German descent. Yeah, that's he. Absolutely, definitely. I see Zimmerman. That's a good German name there. But yes, there would have been some Lutherans as well. I mean, people, if people want to know who the heck settled the backcountry, it was the Scots-Irish and the Germans. So that's most of the people that are in the area today are still Scots-Irish and German heritage. Probably 2/3, 3/4 Scots-Irish and a third to a quarter German.
All right, another question. What was the name of the block house at / near Paintsville?
I think he's bringing up Harmon Station. And Harmon Station, very important spot to one of my ancestors, Jenny Wiley, my 7th grade grandmother, Jenny Wiley, that was captured by the Native Americans' epic journey. We're actually getting ready to have our Jenny Wiley reunion with the descendants up here next month. So we'll be up there doing some video things up there. We're real excited about that. That's Harmon Station. And Henry Skaggs was the guy that saved her or was there to help to rescue her, who also has a tremendous history in the area that we're talking about here. Gosh, man, this is all they knew each other.
Yeah. It's like a movie, man. An intertwined movie. So
yeah, that's the whole thing right there. Logan Station, Logan's Fort, Stanford, St. Asaph, important spot in American history and definitely Kentucky history and things. And we want people to know that it exists, kind of thing.
Yep. So, plenty stories worth telling.
Yeah. So on our go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just repeating myself.
On our way out, there's a video that we're going to show that Jameson and I did. It's kind of a summary of everything we've talked about tonight, and but it also shows you some sites.
It's at the fort. Yeah, it's at the fort. So
at the fort,
check it out.
Yeah, there's some different sides there, and I think we got a little video that show of about the Kentucky History Podcast at the end. So make sure you check that video out. You get to see some sites. Like I said, it is a summary of everything we've talked about tonight, but definitely something that I think is pretty awesome.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channels, Kentucky History Channel, Family Tree Nuts. But my final question, where did Daniel Boone, or where was the place that Daniel Boone was at first in Kentucky? Do you know?
I didn't see anybody answer that.
No, I've not seen anybody answer. So I'm asking you.
Would it be at the Breaks?
The Breaks
up in Pike County.
Yeah. Elkhorn City.
Yeah, Elkhorn, where they first come through there. This is would have been
1767.
Yeah, 1760.
See, a lot of people saying they're popping in now. A lot of people saying Cumberland Gap. Nope. 1767, he came to Pike County.
Yeah, he came to Pike County first. Yep. Touched base a little bit in there, and then it was in 1769. Matter of fact, it was June the 7th, just a couple of dabbering days ago, where he went up to Pilot Knob and surveyed the vast beautifulness of that is the bluegrass of Kentucky. And we did a live video right by there, and we did another video, of course, on our YouTube channel. You got to go to our YouTube channel. There's great stories on there. So
yep. Yep.
I think
Yeah, Big Sandy River. Big
And
Sandy.
he's into Jenny Wiley. I reckon we are then, So, but Big Sandy, yeah, it's right there too. Yeah, absolutely. All those comments that are coming in there. So, absolutely. No, that's definitely a historic spot right there that gets forgotten. I'll shut up. I mean, we can go all night long.
Another day, man. Another day.
Of how these history stories are intertwined. So, definitely proud of our Kentucky history and heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll sign up for now. Check out this video coming up. It's a great video. Like I said, a synopsis, show you the fort. We'll see you here soon.
There you go. Thanks for watching.
Family Tree Nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
Wow, they had to get that milk, didn't they?
They did.
How many people died for that milk?
Too many for milk.
Definitely too many for milk. Hey everybody, this is Russ from Family Tree Nuts, and I'm here with my good friend
Jameson Cable, Kentucky History Podcast.
Awesome, and he's also a local teacher, and he's brought us out to
Fort Logan.
Fort Logan. Awesome, Fort Logan. Many people have not heard of Fort Logan. Where are we at?
Well, we're right in Lincoln County, which if you know, first 3 counties of Kentucky. But Fort Logan is one of the first 3 major settlements in Kentucky. And you know of Harrodsburg, you know of Boonesboro or Fort Harrod, but oftentimes Fort Logan's overlooked.
Absolutely, and with its history and the amount of things that's happened here, especially early Kentucky history, it's amazing that most folks don't know about it.
It was really one of the first, or one of the main settlements in Kentucky for the first 10, 20 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. So where does the fort get its name, Fort Logan?
Fort Logan gets its name from Benjamin Logan, who came over right after Daniel Boone. Him and John Floyd made a left turn and came to this spot here in Lincoln County instead of going to Boonesboro and set up their
Yeah, and that was in 1775, I think, that they came here, because Boonesboro was founded in April of 1775. This was just right after that.
So real close, time frame, proximity, all that.
I think that Benjamin Logan, he built a cabin, planted some corn there in 1775.
Yep, that was kind of the Virginia law, or the Virginia way of getting land in Kentucky. You came, you had to settle, you had to plant some corn, and then once that corn, grew and became a crop, then you were granted the land.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We don't have that today at all, do we? So I guess they didn't stay the winter here. He went back home to his family for that winter of 75 and 76.
Got his family, then came back, and that's when they started constructing the fort.
In 1776, and I think it took them until about 1777 to build it. Came with some other family members. Now the town wasn't called Fort Logan originally. What was it called?
So John Floyd was a Welsh immigrant. And
John Floyd was with Benjamin Logan.
Benjamin Logan when they came and settled first. So he wanted to name the town, or the settlement, St. Asaph.
St. Asaph?
St. Asaph.
St. what?
Asaphus.
ASAP. Yep, kind of thing.
So they named it after St. Asaph,
who was the patron saint of Wales. Floyd was a Welsh immigrant, I think. So, so St. Asaph. So in 1779, Virginia does grant Benjamin Logan 400 acres here in Kentucky, and I guess the courthouse was actually in Harrodsburg?
Yeah.
Or Fort Harrod?
Yeah. So the courthouse was in Fort Harrod, and Benjamin Logan went over and offered, petitioned, however you want to say it, for them to move the courthouse to Fort Logan. And he had to offer up some land, but he also had to meet some requirements. You know what the requirements were?
There was some requirements to have the courthouse, you said, right?
Yes, for the courthouse.
Well, I guess that's probably like you gotta, I don't know, have good flat land or something like that to build a building on, or?
I'm sure that's part of it, but the main thing was you had to have a jail, you had to have a building for the courthouse.
Okay.
Most importantly, you had to have a tavern.
You had to have a tavern, okay. So those three, they got their priorities there, and those 3 things kind of go together, with jail and tavern and courthouses, I guess, right?
Yeah, you got to keep the jail filled with the people drunk at the tavern.
So like a lot of other forts on the frontier, this fort withstood a big time siege at one time, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was about how many people was at the fort during that Native American siege?
Well, the fort is a bit smaller than, say, Boonesboro, Fort Boonesboro, and Fort Harrod. It held about 25 people total. The cornerstone houses and the walls, and there wasn't much else to it. But yes, it withheld a siege of about 13 days.
Wow, 13 days. So during one of those days, they needed some milk pretty bad, didn't they?
I guess they must have just had a real cotton mouth, something. They needed that milk. They needed that milk, so they sent out a group of people to go to the cows, get some milk, and
what happened?
They all died.
They all died?
Yeah, they all died.
And they all got scalped, right?
They all got scalped except one person.
One person. Why didn't they scalp them?
One person didn't get scalped because when the Native Americans attacked, they had killed the livestock as well, and one of the cows fell over on one of the...
Oh my gosh.
So they didn't get scalped.
So, all right, well, I guess...
That's kind of not really a positive.
That's a unique story there for sure, isn't it? So, hey, you didn't get scalped, but you got squished by a cow, so... And a lot of people don't realize that Kentucky out here on the frontier had a major role in the American Revolution, and this fort had a little bit of role in that too, didn't it?
Yeah, so British officers had gathered up and teamed up with the Native Americans, and they were attacking relentlessly on the western front of the Revolutionary War. At one time they had captured British Colonel Henry Hamilton, and they actually brought him to Fort Logan for a time, and he actually was very complimentary of the fort. But,
wow.
However, that holds up.
Yeah, so that's a pretty neat. We have him right here. And I think Fort Logan was actually where they brought Daniel Boone for his trial for treason right before the 1778 siege at Boonesboro right there. Daniel Boone had been living up around Chillicothe, Ohio with the Indians. He'd been captured and he ran back 4 days, about 120 miles or so overland to warn them of the siege, but the men thought that he was a traitor kind of thing. So they brought him here to this fort for his trial. So this particular spot has tremendous impact on the early Kentucky, early Western civilization's history. And it's a neat fort. We've been showing you shots of the fort itself here. It just has a couple of walls and things, but they've done some reenactments here, haven't they?
They have, and that's one thing that's really important to bring up now is, the fort is only halfway reconstructed. There's a Facebook page you can go to, Fort Logan Foundation, to find out more information, how you can help bring this fort back to life. They do reenactments here as well. So anything you could do would be great as far as making this history come back to life.
Absolutely. It's a very important place and we need to bring it alive there. And then, well, thanks for bringing me here. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the story?
That's it. Just come and check out your local history, people. It's really good.
Absolutely. So make sure you come check the place out, and remember, Family Tree Nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree. Like what you see? Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the little bell so you get notifications as to when we post new videos. And you can find out more about us and contact us at familytreenuts.org.
What Kentucky meant to them. This land between the meadows was the name that the Wyandot, Kantawa.
They'd always say Paducah is halfway between Monkey's Eyebrow and Possum Trot.
I moved to Lexington in 1996 to attend University of Kentucky College of Law.
I was born in the great state of Kentucky in Pike County at the Pikeville Methodist Hospital.
Grew up on Short Street in downtown Lexington.
I grew up in northern Kentucky.
Contrary to popular belief, Western Kentuckians are still just as Kentucky.
And met my wife there. She's from Lawrence County, Kentucky, and I never had any notion of leaving after I got here.
My whole family is still, we're generational. We've been there in Ballard I was able to know my great-grandparents and, obviously hear lots of stories about my great-great-grandparents.
We got to work on a movie, explores Kentucky culture and history, and the stories of a wide range of people who live there.
Jet would never talk about being a night rider. It was a secret organization. You couldn't divulge your information.
My great-great-granddaddy's musket, double-barrel shotgun that they passed down to me.
Local history is something that interests me.
So Kentucky is very dear to me, and I love it very much.
A lot of fond memories of Kentucky. Spent a lot of time on grandparents' tobacco farms.
Both of us growing up in Kentucky, being from Kentucky, value and see the rich history. There's so many things Kentucky offers.
It makes our state beautiful, and honestly, there's so much colorful history in Kentucky. There's, I don't know. I feel like Kentucky, it's got its own
thing. Yeah.
Got its own thing. It really does, and I say that being a proud Kentuckian. So maybe but honestly, even all my friends that aren't, from there have always like, Kentucky's got something going on. And I'm like it definitely does.
Ended up kind of on some back roads and just exploring Kentucky's beauty and its history.
When you find something you enjoy, you just teach it, but you keep learning.
Love Kentucky.
Kentucky's a special place.
I'm a proud Kentuckian.
And they came up with Kentucky.